Welcome back to Change Your Life. Today, we're diving into the fascinating world of iconic Roosevelt dimes, their worth, history, and hidden treasures. We're exploring the top 3 most valuable, expensive, and ultra-rare U.S. coins that collectors are hunting for. These Roosevelt dimes might look ordinary, but some could be worth thousands or even millions of dollars today. We're focusing on 1967 Roosevelt Dime, no mint mark. 1978 Roosevelt Dime, no mint mark. 1979 Roosevelt Dime, D mint mark. These copper-nickel clad coins, sometimes showing a rare red to dark brown color, can be a goldmine, even in dirty condition. Before you spend or discard that old dime, stick around, you could be holding a fortune in your hands. First up, coin #1. Welcome back. Take a breath, slow down for a moment, and imagine this, a single dime resting quietly in your pocket, forgotten, scratched, darkened by time. Most people would never look at it twice. But sometimes history hides in the smallest places, and today, that history speaks through one coin, the 1967 Roosevelt dime with no mint mark. This is not just spare change. This is a survivor of a strange era in American coinage, a coin born during uncertainty, metal shortages, and silent decisions that changed money forever. The year 1967 was not an ordinary year for American coins. The United States was struggling with rising silver prices, hoarding, and fear that valuable coins would vanish from circulation. To protect the economy, the government made a quiet but powerful move. Mint marks were removed entirely. No P, no D, no S. Every dime looked the same, anonymous, untraceable, and ordinary. Or so it seemed. In reality, this decision created one of the most mysterious chapters in modern coin history, because it blurred the line between rarity and commonness in a way collectors are still trying to understand today. The 1967 Roosevelt dime was struck in copper-nickel clad instead of silver, marking a new age of American money. But not every coin came out perfect. Some were struck under pressure, others cooled too fast, some reacted strangely to their metal layers, and a small number developed unusual color shifts over time. These are the dimes that stop collectors in their tracks. A natural red to dark brown tone, especially when it spreads unevenly across the surface, can signal something unusual beneath the eye, metal interaction, storage environment, or a striking anomaly that makes one coin stand apart from millions of others. Now here is where the story becomes dangerous for careless spenders. Condition does not always mean beauty. Some of the most watched 1967 dimes are dirty, dark, and unattractive to the untrained eye. Years of circulation, exposure, and neglect can hide what truly matters. Collectors do not always chase shine. They chase truth. A genuine, naturally toned coin with strange coloration, strong details, and untouched surfaces can command attention far beyond what its face value suggests. This is why experts warn people not to clean old coins. The dirt may be part of the story. The color may be the proof. Over the decades, rumors have grown around this dime. Stories of error strikes, off-metal layers, missing clad bonds, and unusual planchet reactions circulate quietly in collector circles. Most of these coins will never make headlines. But a tiny fraction, those with verifiable anomalies, extreme rarity, and historical significance, become legends. These are the coins that auction houses whisper about. The ones that never appear in pocket change anymore because they were pulled aside by someone who knew better, or by someone who trusted their instinct and waited. It is important to understand something clearly. Not every 1967 Roosevelt dime is worth a fortune. Most are common. But history does not reward averages. History rewards exceptions. When a coin combines the right year, the right circumstances, the right metal behavior, and the right preservation, even accidentally, it becomes something else entirely. It becomes a conversation piece, a research subject, a symbol of a broken system trying to fix itself during a time of economic fear. Collectors who hunt these coins are not gamblers. They are historians. They look for subtle differences in edge bonding, weight balance, sound, color depth, and strike pressure. A dime that seems ordinary to one person can raise alarms for another. That is why people who unknowingly sell rare coins cheaply often regret it later. Not because the coin was guaranteed millions, but because it deserved patience, study, and respect. The idea that a single coin can change a life overnight is powerful, but the real transformation comes from knowledge. A person who learns to recognize value where others see nothing begins to think differently. That mindset, slow, observant, careful, is what separates spenders from collectors. The 1967 Roosevelt Dime teaches this lesson perfectly. It sits at the crossroads of old silver money and modern clad currency, carrying the weight of a system in transition. If you ever find one of these dimes, especially with unusual red, brown, or dark toning, resist the urge to judge it quickly. Do not polish it. Do not clean it. Do not rush to sell it for a low price. Let the coin speak. Let time, weight, color, and context tell their story. Even if it turns out to be common, you lose nothing by respecting it. But if it turns out to be something more, you may have saved yourself from the biggest mistake collectors ever make, spending history as if it were nothing. Coins do not promise wealth. They offer possibility. And sometimes, possibility is enough to change the way you see the world. That is the true power of the 1967 Roosevelt Dime. Not the metal, not the face value, but the reminder that fortunes are often hidden in plain sight, waiting for someone patient enough to look twice. Welcome back, and before you scroll away or reach into your pocket without thinking, pause for just a moment. Because today's story is about a coin almost everyone ignores, a dime that lived quietly through decades of change, passed from hand to hand, never announcing its importance. The 1978 Roosevelt Dime with no mint mark does not shout for attention. It whispers. And sometimes, whispers carry the most dangerous secrets in the world of coin collecting. By 1978, America believed it had solved its coin problems. Silver was gone from dimes, copper-nickel clad coins had become normal, and people stopped checking their change. That loss of attention is exactly what makes this year so interesting. When nobody is watching closely, mistakes slip through. When coins are treated as disposable, anomalies survive. The 1978 dime was born in an era of speed, mass production, and lowered public interest, which is often the perfect environment for rare survivors to escape unnoticed. Unlike earlier years, this dime carries no dramatic metal story on the surface. It looks ordinary, lightweight, modern. But collectors know that rarity does not always come from precious metals. Sometimes it comes from behavior, how a coin reacts to time, pressure, storage, and chemistry. Some 1978 dimes developed unusual surface reactions that caused natural red, deep brown, or smoky dark toning, especially when the copper layer interacted unevenly with its nickel cladding. These colors are not paint. They are not damage. They are slow chemical conversations between metal and environment, and when they happen naturally, they cannot be recreated. Many of these coins were dismissed because they were dirty, dark, stained, pulled from drawers, jars, or old collections where nobody bothered to clean them properly, or wisely chose not to. Ironically, that neglect preserved their authenticity. In the collector world, originality is everything. A cleaned coin loses its voice. A dirty but untouched coin still speaks clearly to those who know how to listen. The absence of a mint mark adds another layer of mystery. To the average person, it means nothing. To a collector, it raises questions. Where exactly was it struck? Under what conditions? Was the die worn? Was the pressure uneven? Did the planchet behave differently than expected? These questions matter, because high-value coins are rarely born from perfection. They are born from small deviations that multiply over time into something extraordinary. Stories circulate quietly among collectors about 1978 dimes that shocked appraisal rooms. Coins once spent on coffee, later rediscovered with unusual toning, sharp detail beneath grime, and subtle characteristics that separated them from the billions struck that year. No headlines. No lottery ticket moment. Just a slow realization that something dismissed as worthless was never meant to be rushed out of existence. The idea that a single dime can change a fortune overnight is seductive, but the real danger lies in impatience. Many people lose potential value not because their coin was worthless, but because they sold it without understanding it. The 1978 Roosevelt Dime teaches a painful lesson: knowledge creates value, not hope. A person who sells quickly stays poor in understanding, even if they gain a few dollars. A person who waits, studies, and respects history gives value time to reveal itself. Collectors do not hunt shine. They hunt story. They examine weight, tone transitions, edge bonding, strike clarity, and surface flow. They look for coins that lived honest lives, not polished ones. A naturally toned 1978 dime, even in rough condition, can be more desirable than a bright, cleaned example. That contradiction confuses beginners, but it defines experts. This coin exists at a strange point in American history. Inflation fears, changing manufacturing priorities, and public detachment from physical money all shaped its journey. The Roosevelt dime itself honors stability and leadership, yet the coin bearing his image traveled through unstable times. That contrast gives certain examples emotional weight beyond metal content. If you ever come across a 1978 Roosevelt dime with no mint mark and unusual red or dark brown coloration, do not make the mistake of treating it like trash. Do not clean it. Do not rush to trade it away for fast cash. Let it sit. Let it be evaluated properly. Even if it turns out to be common, patience costs nothing. But if it turns out to be special, impatience could cost everything. Coins like this do not promise riches. They offer possibility, and possibility is dangerous in the hands of the careless and powerful in the hands of the patient. The 1978 Roosevelt dime reminds us that history does not always announce itself with gold and silver. Sometimes it hides in copper and nickel, waiting decades for someone to finally pay attention. And that is why this coin still matters today. Not because every example is worth millions, but because the right one, treated with respect and understanding, can change how you see value forever. Slow down for a second and listen carefully, because today's coin is dangerous, not because it looks rare, but because it looks normal. The 1979 Roosevelt dime with the D mint mark is one of those coins people spend without thinking, drop into jars, or ignore at the bottom of drawers. And yet, this dime carries a quiet tension inside it, a tension created by mass production, metal behavior, and a time when the American public stopped paying attention to their change. History loves moments like that, because when people stop looking, rare stories are allowed to survive unnoticed. By 1979, the United States Mint was operating at full speed. Coins were needed fast, cheaply, and in enormous quantities. The Denver Mint, marked with the small but powerful letter D, became a symbol of efficiency rather than artistry. That efficiency is exactly why certain unusual examples escaped detection. When machines run endlessly, subtle differences stop being corrected. Slight variations in pressure, temperature, and metal bonding were no longer considered important, until decades later, when collectors began noticing that not all 1979 D dimes aged the same way. The Roosevelt dime of this era was copper-nickel clad, a layered structure that behaves unpredictably over time. In some rare cases, the copper core interacted unevenly with the outer layers, creating natural red, dark brown, or smoky tones that slowly bloomed across the surface. These colors are not stains and not damage when they occur naturally. They are time itself leaving fingerprints on metal. To the untrained eye, such a coin looks dirty, neglected, almost worthless. To the trained collector, it looks alive. What makes the 1979 D dime so fascinating is that its rarity is not obvious at birth. It becomes special through survival. Through years of circulation. Through being ignored. Through being stored in places where air, moisture, and chemistry slowly shaped its surface without human interference. Cleaned coins lose this story. Polished coins are silenced forever. But untouched coins, even dark ones, still speak. Collectors who focus on this dime are not hunting perfection. They are hunting truth. They study how the strike flowed across Roosevelt's portrait, how the torch lines held up, how the edge bonded, how the color transitions behave under light. A naturally toned dime with honest wear can be far more desirable than a shiny example that has been altered. This idea confuses beginners, but it defines serious collecting. Value is not beauty. Value is originality. The D-mint mark itself plays an important psychological role. Denver coins were struck in massive numbers, which tricks people into assuming that nothing rare could exist among them. But history proves the opposite again and again. The larger the population, the easier it is for anomalies to hide. A single unusual coin among millions does not announce itself. It waits. Sometimes for decades. Sometimes until someone patient enough finally asks the right questions. Stories circulate quietly about 1979 Roosevelt Dimes that shocked experienced eyes. Coins once dismissed as pocket change later revealed unusual metal behavior, unexpected surface integrity, and characteristics that could not be easily explained. These moments do not happen in pawn shops or quick sales. They happen slowly, in quiet rooms, under careful examination. That is why rushing to sell old coins is one of the most expensive mistakes people make. The idea that this dime could be worth unimaginable amounts captures attention, but the real power of the coin lies in possibility, not promises. Wealth does not come from believing every coin is priceless. It comes from understanding why a few are different. The 1979 Roosevelt Dime represents the danger of ignorance and the reward of patience. It teaches that fortune favors those who hesitate, observe, and learn. This coin was born during a time when physical money was losing emotional value. Credit cards were rising. Cash was becoming background noise. That cultural shift allowed certain coins to pass through history untouched by scrutiny. And those untouched survivors are the ones collectors chase today, not because they are guaranteed riches, but because they are irreplaceable witnesses to a forgotten moment. If you ever hold a 1979 Roosevelt dime with a D-mint mark, especially one with unusual red or dark brown toning, do not rush to judgment. Do not clean it. Do not assume dirt means damage. Let the coin rest. Let it be studied properly. Even if it turns out to be ordinary, you lose nothing by respecting it. But if it turns out to be extraordinary, impatience could cost you a story that money alone cannot replace. This dime reminds us that history does not always wear gold or silver. Sometimes it hides in copper and nickel, disguised as nothing, waiting for someone wise enough to pause before spending it. That pause, just a moment of curiosity, has the power to change how you see value forever. And that is why the 1979 Roosevelt dime still matters today.